How's it going, everybody? Brian Elvers and Dave Meltzer here, Wrestling Observer Radio, March 26, 2018, figure4online.com/wrestlingobserver.com. Dave and I are here in Long Beach. We just got out of the New Japan show. We're going to be talking about that here in just a few minutes. But a couple of news notes first that we got to get into. First of which is what's going on with AJ Styles heading into WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think there's probably no problem with AJ Styles. I mean, he's hurt, but I don't think there's any big problem with as far as him doing the match since he worked all weekend. They did SmackDown 8-man tag matches with AJ teaming with a New Day in the main events, and he didn't do much in the ring. He was there and did wrestle, which means that he was cleared, which we'd actually reported late, I think, on Thursday. So I don't think there's nothing to worry about as far as him doing the match. And I think that knowing him and just it's the fact that it's WrestleMania and everything like that, even if he's on one leg, he's going to end up doing a great match with Nakamura. So
we presume it is the knee.
My presumption is an MCL injury, but it's still not confirmed.
So we also have Raw tomorrow night, which is the go-home show. Wait, is it the go-home show? No, it's one more week.
There's one more week.
Okay, so yeah, it's not the go-home show.
Yeah, they're in Cleveland this week.
This next couple of weeks.
Yeah, next couple of weeks is going to be crazy. I'm not even going to be alive, so I don't need to really worry about it. But
we've got the Kane-John Cena match.
Yeah, so presumably something's going to happen, to set up the Undertaker match tomorrow.
That's right. And that's all they've advertised.
Yeah. And there's really no... I mean, if they're going to do the Strowman thing, and announce a partner, I mean, they actually could wait another week. They don't have to necessarily do it this week, but and they may just wait till Mania anyway. But that's pretty much the only other unresolved thing on the show. There'll probably be a bunch of guys that, talk about the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Just a bunch of, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson kind of guys that are...
We need more people to declare.
Exactly.
If John Cena would have known how easy it was to declare, we wouldn't even have this storyline.
Yeah.
All he had to do was declare for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even think about it because he was thinking he had to go as a fan.
Well, he heard there was the Women's Battle Royal, and he presumed there wouldn't also be a Men's Battle Royal at the same WrestleMania, but he was wrong.
Why would he presume that?
I don't know.
Why would he even... That whole storyline was so ridiculous.
It was not their best storyline, but he did the best he could with a bad storyline.
He always does.
He tried to make you believe.
Yeah.
In fact, he did make you believe momentarily.
That
he was not going to be at WrestleMania.
Momentarily, he made me believe he was actually going to be a fan, even though I knew that he was wrestling Undertaker for months. But it's always one of those things where Undertaker could get hurt in training. You know what I mean? And all that. So you always have that thought in the back of your head because nothing's 100% in wrestling. People are always asking me about this and that. Although I do believe that as far as a lot of different people, the questions of Kenny Omega showing up at WrestleMania or something, it's not like 100%, but it's as close to 100% as there is that's not going to happen. Somebody could. Well, it is 100% that it's not going to happen. They're not going to make a deal with New Japan this week to do some sort of a joint promotion and have it do it at WrestleMania, obviously. So, but all kinds of silly stuff like that, yeah.
Well, funny you should mention the New Japan WrestleMania tie-in. So Ray's got a partially torn bicep, so it wouldn't matter too much anyway. But tonight at the New Japan show in Long Beach, they pretty much shot an angle that looks like it's going to lead to a Rey Mysterio match in July.
At least 3.
At the Cow Palace.
At least 3 Rey Mysterio matches because he said that he wanted to wrestle Liger, Will Ospreay. Well, Will Ospreay challenged Rey. Rey wanted to wrestle Liger because he felt that he owed that match. Will Ospreay challenged, and then Marty Scurll came out and unmasked Rey. So you've got those 3 matches. Ospreay challenged him for the junior title. So I would figure that one of those matches would be at the Cow Palace, and probably one of them would be at Dominion. I don't think that maybe they'll do another one at that Zontaku show in Fukuoka. Or maybe there would be another, I don't know. But yeah, so it would at least tell you that the start of Rey Mysterio. Well, I mean, they could still start him on WWE TV and have him do the matches he's committed to. I mean, it is possible that they would do that. But
they almost always have guys finish out their commitments first.
What?
I mean, they almost always have their guys finish out their commitments first.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really weird if he were on Raw every week.
They didn't. When Alberto came, they sure didn't.
When he came in?
When Alberto came in, when he was AAA champion, he didn't finish up any commitments. He didn't do any shows for,
I know, but I mean, normally, like, you wouldn't see Alberto come in, show up on Raw, and then go and do Triple Mania.
No, not at all.
No. So the idea that Ray would be on Raw, and we would also see him on a New Japan show at the Cow Palace?
Unlikely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems unlikely.
So more likely than not, if Ray comes in, and it's still an if Ray comes in, we're talking about probably, the fall, maybe late summer.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this New Japan show here. Long Beach, 4-hour show.
Plus.
That's right. We watched it live. It's interesting going on Twitter. There's a lot of people on Twitter who didn't seem to like the show.
Really? Okay, so I glanced at our response as far as thumbs up, thumbs down, and it was pretty much almost all thumbs up.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, but a lot of people didn't. There were people who said that, it would have been thumbs in the middle until the main event.
Well, I will say that when I was looking on Twitter, it was prior to the main event.
Yeah.
So maybe there were some people that didn't like the show, and then the main event turned it around.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really fun show. I had a great time.
I thought it was after the main event and the show was over, you had to say it was a really good show. I felt in the early part of the show, I felt that it was, I don't think there was not a bad match on the show, although the David Finlay Juice Robinson against Gedo and Goto match was nothing. It was average, but I thought that there was no the first half of the show, you didn't get any really super matches either. And there was nothing that overachieved or anything like that. The match with Naito, the 8-man tag with LIJ against Tanahashi, Kushida, Taguchi, and
You say nothing overachieved?
In what sense?
I thought the Toriano Chuck E. T match overachieved.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It was better than, because it's Toriano. Toriano was really over, too.
He was super over.
Yeah, a lot of the guys, it was interesting who was over because, like at PWG on Friday night, Zack Sabre was super over coming off of the New Japan Cup. It was like he was at a different level than I've ever seen. But tonight, it didn't feel like he was that over at all. I mean, it was kind of surprising. Suzuki was really over, although not any more than I expected. Naito was really over, but super over, but I expected that. And Okada you expect, Tanahashi you expect. But yeah, the ones, Hiromu, but I would expect Hiromu to be over. But Toriano was probably the big surprise as far as when he came out. I mean, and all of his shtick, the people were really with it. And then they had that spot where he's doing the break, and I think Lance Archer kicked him in the face, and the people were. It's like you ruined our fun comedy spot, which was good, actually, which turned out to be good heat.
Well, let's start here at the beginning. We'll go through everything as we get going here. Daniels and Kazarian Scorpio Sky versus Rocky Romero, Show, and Yo.
So that was non-title.
Non-title match here. Crowd popped. In my opinion, if it were not for how much more lucrative it is to be in the main event, the best match to work is the opener. These guys came out here and the fans popped for every single thing they did. Every move got a pop. They could have gone out there and done nothing. They would have got a great reaction, but they went out there and they worked a good match. Frankie, at one point, went for a springboard leg drop and slipped on the ropes and then just sort of laid there on his back. And then
he looked like he may have hyperextended his knee.
Yeah, he made the tag. He started limping, but he finished the match. He did all of his spots. Daniels got a big pop for an Arabian press to the outside. Romero made his hot tag. Frankensteiner on Daniels and Scorpio at the same time. Daniels and Kazarian hit the best moonsault ever. It was broken up. And
it was a Meltzer driver.
Was it? I thought it was the best Meltzer ever. The moonsault.
Best Meltzer ever.
Yeah, best Meltzer ever. Yeah.
Best Meltzer. Yeah.
So Show and Yo hit the 3K for the pin. Good match. Good opener.
Yeah, good opener. I think it would have been actually really good, except for the Kazarian injury, because when Kazarian got hurt, they kind of stumbled around a little bit and had to regroup. But aside from that, flowed really well. Sho and Yo are excellent. Team. One thing I actually do want to say this, which has to do with seeing a couple of shows this weekend. So I saw Friday, we saw the PWG, which we'll talk about later. Then Saturday, we went to the New Japan Dojo for like their grand opening, and they had 3 matches there, including it was a Kushida and Uptown Andy Brown against Sho and Yo, and Rocky Romero against Scorpio Sky, and then it was I'm trying to remember who Juice Robinson and Finlay had a tag match. But the thing about watching the New Japan matches live from, pretty much up close, and the PWG matches live from up close is, like with PWG, there's a lot of crazy moves, and there's a lot of spots. But with New Japan, it's just hard wrestling, and really, like, it's very real looking up close, compared to like WWE or even PWG or your local indie or whatever like that. But it's I haven't been to until this weekend, I haven't been to a live New Japan show in 22 years, and it was like that before. But I mean, it kind of shocked me being so close at just how tight and snug the wrestling was, how everything looked real. And also the other thing is like the conditioning of the New Japan guys generally, I'm thinking about Sho and Yo and Kushida especially. And I go, these guys are awesome. But I mean, like people, I don't have to say anything about Kushida because everyone pretty much has him as one of the best guys in the world. But like Sho and Yo, who when I watch them on New Japan World, they're good and all that. What amazed me was like up close, they're so much better. Their matches are so much better up close, and these guys like with WWE, everyone's in pretty much good shape now. It's not like before where you'd watch guys blow up and stuff. Everyone's in good shape. They know there's exceptions, but for the most part, but it's a different level of good shape with these guys. It's like these guys are like, it's just amazing. They don't breathe hard at all when they just do run up and down, up and down, up and down. They don't even breathe hard. And there are a few WWE guys like that, which always impresses me. But it was like, wow, the other like Yo, who you look at him and you think he's like this skinny guy. He's like a buffed guy. So yeah. Anyway, when we were farther away on this one, so I couldn't. It wasn't the exact same thing, but like with PWG for the most part, and there was some exceptions. It's just kind of like you go out there and you're doing your spots and it gets over, but it doesn't have that. It's like it feels like it's every PWG, a lot of different matches, but PWG it's just it's like they're out there going for pops and they get them. And New Japan, they're out there wrestling a match, and when the pops come, they come. But you're more drawn to the match, and there's a real feeling to the match, less exhibition-y like you would get from American wrestling or almost everyone's wrestling, really, and less patterned. That even though there's some pattern in these matches, but I don't know, yeah. But like Rocky's one of those guys as well, who's just a really good worker.
We had Juice Robinson, David Finlay versus Haruki Goto and Geto. Goto is bleeding like 3 minutes into this.
He got his mouth
match.
Busted open.
Yeah, something happened. So they cut off Juice, went to work. Juice and Geto did a comedy eye poke spot. Juice tagged in Finlay, ran wild, pinned Geto with a stunner. I think this went 7 minutes.
7.5 minutes, yeah.
It's fine, just didn't go all that long. Nothing wrong with it.
I thought it was just okay. I mean, Finlay, really, I thought the Finlay and Robinson match at the dojo in some ways was, it probably wasn't better, but because again, I was like right up close to that one, but they did more flashy stuff. This was just kind of like, you and the surprise here is Finlay going over instead of Robinson, but that played into later in the show. But yeah, I just thought it's a match. It wasn't technically, I don't know, Goto didn't really do a whole hell of a lot. Robinson's another one. Robinson was really over, like more than I expected, I think. But he's got a lot of charisma.
Yep, we had Toru Yano, Chucky T versus Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith. Fans were super into Yano. Every time somebody booted him off the apron, they booed like crazy. Archer did the Undertaker old school rope walk all the way to their side of the ring, tagged in Smith as he hit a strike off the top. So they worked over Chucky forever. Crowd's chanting for Yano.
They're chanting for Chucky, too.
Yep. For a while, Yano's on the outside acting like he doesn't want anything to do with these giants. And finally gets the hot tag. Place just goes nuts. Does all of his comedy with Archer. Fans are just eating it up. Archer lays him out. They boo him like crazy. Chucky then made this big comeback. And they did this spot where Yano is in the ring and everybody's outside. And he teases that he's going to go for a dive. And everybody's going crazy because he's going to dive. He hits the ropes. But instead of diving, he runs over and he undoes the turnbuckle pad instead. And that got an even bigger pop than if he would have done the dive.
Well, you know what? He'd have gotten a hell of a pop if he had done it.
He probably would have actually got a hell of a pop to do the dive.
Yeah, but the people did get a kick out of the
They loved the turnbuckle.
And they didn't do anything with it.
No, he just took it out. That's all he has to do.
Yeah. Well, that's what they want from him.
It broke down into a 4-way. Chucky got this near fall with a sunset flip that was a pinfall, but they called it a 2.5. And then the heels hit the combo powerbomb for the pin.
You get the killer bomb.
Turned into a very good match. I figured it would be all comedy, but they actually had a serious match, and the comedy played into the match, and the fans ate it up, and it was good.
Yeah. Archer and Smith are a really good team. Lance Archer's ring entrance, he did the same exact thing they did in the United States, running in the crowd and blowing water on everyone and throwing water on people. And it was, it's funny to see it in the United States because, most promotions don't allow the wrestlers to run around the crowd for fear of, maybe knocking somebody over or whatever. But he was doing the exact same thing. It's pretty interesting. Like seeing that ring entrance live is pretty impressive actually. And Smith is he's solid. He almost like fits into the New Japan mode in a lot of ways, as far as just being a solid wrestler. But just and Archer's they're a good team. And obviously they're grooming them for the tag team title. So there's pretty much no way they could lose in this match.
We had Cody.
I shouldn't say they're grooming them for a tag team title match with Sonata and Evil when Evil gets back. Yeah.
We had Cody and Marty Scurll versus Tama Tonga Loa. This was 60% storyline and talking and 40% wrestling, I would say. Cody comes out. He's just a gigantic star. Gets booed out of the building.
It's so funny that like in Ring of Honor, he'll be like a babyface, and here he was
a mega heel.
Yeah, he was by far. I mean, like there was really no other heel on the show because like all the other, like Suzuki and all them, they were all cheered, but Cody was the one guy who was booed like crazy.
Yeah, and he is an old school heel in that his goal is to be as unlikable as possible.
Yeah.
So that you don't like him. He doesn't go out there and try and be the cool heel. He doesn't go out there and try and do spots that people are going to like. He goes out there to be disliked, and he's very effective at it. So
he's like a total superstar.
Oh yeah, he's a huge star.
Yeah.
So he cuts a promo. He alerts us the Bullet Club is fine, but he is unhappy about this match. He says there will not be a match because the Bullet Club are all friends. We are all Team Cody, he says. Tama Tonga, tell him. And of course, Tama Tonga says nothing, and then Tonga takes the mic and says, no, we are going to have a match tonight for all the fans around the world and the Bullet Club family. And if there's a team we're on, it's definitely not Team Cody.
So the Bullet Club family is meant to be all the fans.
Yes. So a brawl breaks out. GOD clears the ring. Cody... so basically, here's the story. The fans hate Cody. They loved Marty Scurll. So when Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa are going after Cody, Scurll is all excited. Then he turns around, he sees they're going to go after him, so he bails and he gets back on Team Cody. Hugs him, wants a hug from Brandy. So then the match starts. Gorillas run wild. Brandy distracts Tonga. Scurll super kicks him. They get the heat for a while. Finally, he sets up for the chicken wing. Everybody goes nuts for the chicken wing, and then Cody makes the blind tag. Fans are furious. Tonga Loa gets a tag. Scurll takes a delayed superplex from Tonga Loa. And finally, Cody ends up running GOD together, hits the crossroads on Loa. while Brandy held Tama Tonga's foot to prevent him from breaking up the pin. It was a fine match. I think the only real notable thing is that, for whatever reason, Cody Rhodes is wrestling in a weight belt.
He may have back injury.
One of two guys on the show.
Yeah, he may have an injury, or maybe they're just trying to market weight belts.
Could be.
Bull Club weight belts, which actually would make all the sense in the world since they market everything else.
We didn't see the merchandise stand to find out if they were actually marketing those weight belts.
They may not be now. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I doubt they had it at the merchandise stand, or we'd have seen people walking around with weight belts.
Yeah.
But they may be doing that, with their mail order business, or I don't know if Hot Topic's going to carry weight belts, but
I think that's probably unlikely, but you never know.
But I mean, the weight belts were all specially designed. Cody, Nick, and Matt all had weight belts that were identical. So
I don't think Nick wasn't wearing one today.
No, Nick came out in one, but he took it off. He didn't wrestle in it, whereas Cody and Matt did.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty much. I mean, it was an entertaining match for sure. There was nothing wrestling wise, nothing like stood out, but everything was well done.
We had Tanahashi, Kushida, Taguchi, and Dragon Lee versus Naito, Sanada, Bushi, and Hiromu Takahashi. So Tanahashi and Naito started. Quick spot with Sanada. Then Dragon Lee and Hiromu tagged in.
The place went nuts for Tanahashi and Naito at the start.
Oh, yeah. So Dragon Lee and Hiromu, who normally just do all sorts of crazy high flying, the very first thing they do is a chop spot back and forth.
The place, they tore the house. That was the biggest pop.
It was the biggest pop of anything they did all night.
It was the biggest. The thing about this match that this match was really good, but the thing that I will complain about is that you really only got you got the one spot with Dragon Lee and Hiromu, and it was like, what was it, a couple minutes into the match?
Yeah, it was very early on, and it was very quick.
But it's like nobody could get the crowd to that level, even Naito later. So it almost felt to me like they should have saved that, about 8-9 minutes into the match.
Yeah, but you're looking at this in hindsight.
No, but I would have even looked at it anyway, because it's like, okay, what's going to be the best exchange in this match? And it's obviously going to be Dragon Lee and Hiromu, because those guys, they're just like magic together. They're
well, sure, but I mean, you would expect that Tanahashi and Naito would have, great.
Well, they did at the end. That's why I'm not saying to do it 12 minutes or 10 minutes in, but do it 8 or 9 minutes in, and save that, because after those guys were out, the match kind of had a lull and went down. It peaked, in that chop sequence. That was the biggest it ever got. And I always like a match to peak for the finish rather than peak for a great high spot 3 minutes in, or whatever, how many minutes in they were when they did. There was a Daryl chant, but no Daryl.
No,
although there were several Daryls in the crowd, and just usual LIJ stuff. Sonata did he did the Paradise Lock, which everybody loved. He did the flare flip into the springboard drop kick, which everyone loved, but he didn't do a whole lot. Bushi was in there with Kushida, a bunch. Obviously Kushida's great. Just a really good match.
Tanahashi got a hot tag, double dragon screw leg whip on Hiromu and Bushi, had the babyface putting the submissions on all the heels, but Hiromu broke it up, and then finally, 6-way, everybody hit a big move on everybody else. Naito hit the Destino on Taguchi, got the pin.
8-way, but yeah.
Fun match, 8-way, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had Rey Mysterio come out, and this was where he announced that, can't wrestle here tonight, feel terrible about it. I vow that someday I will return and wrestle for New Japan.
He said it's in his bucket list, and he mentioned that him and Liger had a match in December 1996, and he said that there's no reason that it's not going to happen again. And, I remember it's funny because when he came out and he's talking about wrestling, and this is right before the Liger-Will Ospreay match, my thought was, he's supposed to wrestle Liger. I mean, I always thought, if he had a series of matches, Liger could be one of them. But I always thought that, for Ray, that he should wrestle one of the somebody else, some of the younger guys, And Ospreay, when he was doing the promo saying he was going to come back, I was kind of thinking that I'd really like to see him against Ospreay because, Will Ospreay is phenomenal, and they would probably have like the best match Ray could have in that promotion, I think, would be with Will Ospreay.
So it was Liger and Ospreay. Liger cut him off with a tilt-a-whirl and a flip dive off the apron. Gave him a brainbuster on the floor outside on the cement. Ospreay's out there, the ref's counting.
He's like 16 and he's way the hell back there.
Dude, they were at 18 and he was way back there.
Yeah.
And he sprinted to the ring, and realistically,
he didn't make it.
He got in at 21, but the ref held up the 20 for a ridiculous amount of time. So he missed a 619. Liger hit a capo kick. Ospreay hit his one-man Spanish fly. Liger avoided the Oscutter, hit a brainbuster in the middle of the ring, hit a brainbuster off the middle rope. And
top rope. It was top rope.
Top rope. And then Ospreay finally hit basically a Liger bomb of his own, and then an Oscutter, and got the pin. So not like your typical great Will Ospreay match, but Liger's 53 years old. And for a fucking 53-year-old guy, this was a really good match. He is an amazing physical specimen.
Yeah, this was actually probably the best Liger singles match I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
But it was pretty damn good.
So Ospreay put Liger over afterwards with a great speech. Said, in order to become great, I've got to run through the legends. I know people aren't going to like that, but...
And Ray's still sitting there.
Yep, it's talking about you, Ray. I want to bring this title to a whole new level, he says. I'm challenging you, Ray. And suddenly Skrull hits the ring. Marty Skrull waffles him with his umbrella. Ray runs in to make the save. Skrull unmasks him. So Ray is down. And then Liger hit the ring and Skrull bailed. And a great simple angle to set up a bunch of matches, actually, you can do here. You can do Ray and Ospreay. You could do Skrull and... What else do we have here? Liger.
Skrull and Liger. Because that's what I figured they were.
Yeah.
If you watch the angle, that's where I figured they were going, like on the next show or whenever, whether this is the April or May show, is like that type of a thing, where I don't think Liger's going to be ready for the April show, but he'd probably be ready for the May show, if not. Although I don't know that you would want to, I don't know that I'd want to debut him on the May show. I think I might want to debut him on the Dominion for his first match in New Japan, and then his second match at the Cow Palace. So maybe they do the Liger and Rey Mysterio match at Dominion, which would just be an attraction to get Rey over, and for his championship match.
Minoru Suzuki, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Okada and Ishii. As noted, Sabre did not get a monster reaction coming out here, which you'd think in front of this crowd after the New Japan Cup he would have gotten.
Yeah, and the other three did.
Yeah, so it was weird. And a weird thing is, I watched Sabre on TV and he looks so skinny. But when I looked at him in the ring, he doesn't look that skinny in real life. And I'm looking...
He's thin.
It's like I looked at him in the ring, and then I looked at him on the screen, and he's like 20 pounds skinnier when I watch him on the screen. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
So the other thing about Sabre in this match is there is no moment in this match that the fans thought that he had any chance of submitting Okada.
Yep, you're right.
And if it were me, I would have called an audible.
And had him submit Okada.
I would have had him submit Okada. Because he's...
Yeah, that's you're very logical what you just said.
I mean, they had him submit Ishii. But we've already seen him submit all of those guys in the New Japan Cup.
Yeah.
So if that didn't convince people that he could beat Okada, then Ishii is not convincing them that he can beat Okada. He has to beat Okada in a tag match. But they didn't do that, and he put Ishii in his napalm death for the submission.
The one thing is they don't like to beat Okada. I mean, it's like Okada is the face of that company now.
I wouldn't like to beat him either, but when you got a guy that fans don't buy,
but they may buy in Tokyo. They
will. It's possible.
They just didn't buy it. But you're right. I mean, that was one of the big takes I had, was when he would get all these submissions, and he got them all on Okada. The crowd was impressed by him, but it wasn't like you ever got the feeling that they believed that he could make Okada submit. Yeah.
And it's funny because I really loved this match.
It was excellent.
It sounds like I'm complaining about things, but just that was the one thing. And then the other thing was, like midway through this match, I thought, okay, if Sabre is not submitting Okada, then she must beat Suzuki, because that match sounds like the most awesome match of all time.
When they were
in a singles match.
You know, it's funny because the hottest, even though the crowd saw Okada as the biggest star, the hottest the crowd was during the match was Suzuki against Ishii.
Yeah, because it's like the two toughest dudes in all of New Japan standing there, beating the shit out of each other and trying not to sell it. It was so good. So they're in there, they're awesome.
Ishii did a lot of selling, though, in this match.
Well, yeah, he did his Ishii selling. So Okada and Sabre did a lot of their stuff, a lot of reversals into submissions.
I thought that Sabre was phenomenal in this match, in the sense that, like, everything that... I mean, this is, like, yeah, you know, he didn't beat him, but every time Okada went for, like, a trademark spot, like when he went for the neck breaker over the knee, and it's like, that was so great about Sabre, is that, like, he would get his submissions out of nowhere in spots that you don't expect reversals. They're just normal. Like when Okada went for the tombstone, and Sabre went and submitted him. When Okada went for the Rainmaker, Sabre went and got him in a submission. I mean, it was just, he was getting him in submissions in out of all of your classic spots. So this did tell a story for next Sunday, in the sense that all of Okada's normal moves, Sabre knows how to counter him in a submission. So there is, even though he didn't beat him, what he did in this match did help build the their singles match to come up next week.
So as noted, we had Sabre tagging in. He and Minoru double teamed Ishii. Suzuki put Okada in a choke, and then a stump puller of all things in the corner. And Sabre put Ishii in his Napalm Death, got the submission. Excellent match. Very, very good match.
Yep.
They announced a July 7th return to the Cow Palace in San Francisco, as you had noted. So it's official.
So that's the real test.
Yeah.
This is the real test. We don't know what the card is. I mean, you could definitely go with Jericho and Naito as a match. Obviously, the Rey Mysterio match with Will Ospreay for the championship is a possibility. Kenny Omega and Okada. More likely than, I mean, I would say more likely than not, because Kenny Omega and Okada. But when we talked to Okada, the two things. When we talked to Okada on Friday, the two takes that I had, number one was Shibata said that he was going to wrestle again, that he is not retired, and he was pretty adamant. And Shibata, as far as physical shape, he looks the same as he used to. It's not like, like before when he was, when he nearly died and he was like really down in weight and everything. It's like his weight is about the same, his body is about the same. He seems like he's fine. He can't. I'm sure he's not completely fine, but he outwardly seems fine. Where did I start as far as the Suzuki thing? And the other one was Okada mentioned, we were talking about like different title defenses, including Kenny Omega, and he said he'd like to do it in the United States, which I thought was an interesting thing, because maybe, last year at the in July, we did get an Okada championship match, and it is the Cow Palace. It does need something special. The last big show in June, I think, is Dominion. So that would mean that like by June 11th, I think Dominion is June 9th. So I think by June 11th, you could announce the whole card. And
we're talking about a dinner tonight. I mean, the story is that if he beats Sabre, then he has tied Tanahashi's record.
Right.
Which means Dominion, you can do Okada Tanahashi.
You could, but they still got to do the Dontaku. So, but it feels like an Okada Tanahashi match to me, feels too big for Dontaku and should be Dominion.
Sure, so
the other thing.
I mean, you could always do a tag match.
So you could also do. Well, they got the thing with the Dontaku show is they've got 2 nights, so they're going to have to do an IWGP Championship match. I think at one of them. I mean, I don't know. But the other one, too, is they've been teasing the idea of an Okada-Suzuki match, champion versus champion. So maybe they'll do that. Maybe like the deal, if Okada beats Zack, it would make sense for Suzuki to do a run in and attack Okada after, to go to Okada Suzuki.
But it just feels to me that if he's tied the record, then it should be him and Tanahashi as Tanahashi attempts to stop him from breaking his record.
Absolutely. I believe the same thing. I believe that that's how you should do it. So,
but anyway, my point to all of this is after the June 9th show, I mean, he'll have broken the record.
Yep.
I mean, there's no other reason that he needs to remain champion.
Other than he's awesome. And
well, I mean, yeah, but if there's ever a time for him to be beaten in the United States by Omega,
oh yeah,
like it's the Cow Palace.
Plus, it's like you've got a 13,000 seat, 14,000 seat building.
You got to fill
that you're trying to fill, and I mean, if there's one match that New Japan has that if you go in there with Omega Okada and Jericho Naito.
You're doing 13,000.
And Ray and Will Ospreay. I mean, maybe it won't be as good as I just said, but if you go in there with that card, I mean, that's a real, big show building worth of card. And I see that one just having I see that one having a ton of interest. Omega Okada will have a ton of interest in the United States.
Yeah. Jay White, Hangman Page, IWGP United States title. Red Shoes got the biggest pop of the three early. So the story of this match is, it was in a bad spot.
Like we said.
It was a semi-main. It was everything that we said.
It's funny because yesterday I was talking to both of them, and in both cases, we all kind of knew, and I could tell with Page that he was 100% aware of that point, that he was going to be following Okada and Ishii and Sabre and Suzuki, and he's been to precede the Young Bucks against Omega and Ibushi, and it's like, normally the idea of being semi-main event on such a big show, if you're Hangman Page, who's a guy on his way up, or Jay White, who's another guy on his way up, you'd go like, we're semi-main event, we're on top of Okada. But on this show, I mean, it felt like it was almost like the death spot on the show.
Well, the fans were respectful early, but they were quiet. And it took them 22 minutes to get the crowd. And they got it with Hangman doing a shooting star press off the apron to the floor and then a moonsault off the post to the floor. And from that point forward, they were into it. It didn't go a lot longer, but White reversed something into a Blade Runner for the pin. I mean, they worked their asses off to try to get the crowd into this match. Hard chops. Hangman landed on his head over and over again. White gave him a German suplex off the apron to the floor, which sounds scarier than it ended up being, but it was still crazy. So many big moves, just trying everything they could, and they finally got him there at the end. And then after White got the win, David Finlay hit the ring, laid him out, and challenged him for April 24th, Korakuen Hall.
So this match, I mean, it's funny because it's like, this match for the first 22 minutes was the quietest thing on the whole show, but when it was over, the fans gave him a standing ovation. And so it's like, and they really worked hard. If this match was earlier on the show, like if this match was like fourth or fifth on the show, I think people would be saying it was a completely unreal match. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was. It's weird because it's like there's a part of me that thinks it was like unbelievable that these guys ended up pulling off what they did in that death spot.
It was very impressive.
It really was.
It was very impressive that they got him at the end.
Yeah.
And finally, the Young Bucks and the Golden Lovers. But where to begin? So the story is Kenny Omega doesn't really want to fight the Bucks. And they did a spot early where Matt knocked Ibushi off the apron, so Ibushi got in there and he kicks Matt right in his bad back, and Omega jumps in there and he tries to pull him off. And Matt ends up upset and he hits Kenny. And so, like, from that point forward, every now and then Omega would have an opportunity to do something and he would second-guess himself. In the meantime, they did just every high spot in the world. There was an incredible spot early. Kenny's going for his Terminator dive and he gets booted in the head out of midair by Nick. And they laid him out for a while, worked him over. Matt's back is in storyline and I guess in real life bothering him. And Nick is working for 1.5 guys. And that's
at least.
That's a tough...
Nick was fantastic in this
Nick
match.
was lifting guys for Matt. He was holding guys up for Matt. He was doing high spots for both of them. They had the scariest double superplex I've ever seen.
Oh, because they
are up there, and it's Matt taking this superplex, and Omega and Ibushi lift him, and he literally gets horizontal, and he just stops.
Well, he actually was leaning forward.
They only got him up to the horizontal position. They didn't get him all the way up. And, he is about to fall off the top rope over the post to the ground. And Ibushi steps forward and he puts his foot right on the post, and it gives them just enough leverage to get this guy up. That was the scariest thing I've ever seen. That nearly botched superplex.
It was pretty scary. But the botched moonsault.
Yeah, the Golden Lovers tried the stereo golden triangle moonsault, and Ibushi, it's his move.
Yeah.
He botched it up and fell down. And
may have got a concussion.
Yeah, then a couple seconds later, they tried the stereo moonsault after Kenny did the rolling fireman's carry. And Ibushi slipped on that one too. So, Omega afterwards mentioned that he may be concussed, and he may be because he was out of it there for a while. They got a table. They teased a one-winged angel through the table, which they thankfully did not do. Although later, Matt did a flying elbow and put Omega through the table.
That was crazy looking too.
It was nuts. We had a Indie Taker, the Lovers hit that Matt kicked out of. We had finally Kenny goes for the one-winged angel. He keeps teasing the V trigger, but he won't pull the trigger. And Ibushi's demanding he pull the trigger. So he finally hits it on Matt. He goes to do the one-winged angel, but he can't bring himself to do it. And Matt ends up reaching up and grabbing his arm and basically forcing him to hit the move on himself. And Nick broke it up. And finally, Matt's just out of it. Nick fights back. Lovers cut him off. And they hit Matt with the golden trigger for the pin. This match went 39 minutes.
That's why we got the word when the match started that they were changing the time limit.
Yep. Changing the time limit to an hour.
As soon as we saw that, it was kind of like, we were thinking that they were going to go do a 1 hour match until the Hangman match went so damn long.
So at the end of the day, everyone's asking, what does Dave Meltzer give this match?
After the match, Cody came out, threw down Nick, shoved Matt, and then Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi made the save for the Young Bucks and ran Cody out.
Yep. So
I don't know.
Got to watch it again.
I don't got time to be watching it again, but I probably will.
I asked on Twitter, I said, what'd you guys think of this match? And it was just one after another. 5 stars, 6 stars, 7 stars. Oh, unbelievable. Amazing. Best match of the year. Best tag match I've seen all year. Yeah.
Well, I would
tons of them.
Okay. I would say without a doubt it was the best tag match I've seen all year. And the best tag match I've seen. It's the best tag match that I've seen since the Young Bucks and Adam Cole against Ricochet and Ricochet, Matt Sydal, and Will Ospreay, which was a PWG match in 2016, I believe. It was the one that we watched when my dad was dying, as a matter of fact, with all my friends. But this was, when I'm watching it towards the end, I'm going like, this is the best. I wouldn't say it was better than that one. They each had the one real noticeable botch. This one actually had this one was a lot more physical though. Like the other one, the PWG match was the last 5 minutes were just so ridiculously out of this world. Not that the last 5 minutes of this one weren't, but in this one, you had Omega ended up with he thought he might have a broken orbital bone. I saw him, we saw him at the press conference after. And, he had swelling under his eye, but it didn't look like a break. But he said he was able to see through it. But in his promo, he thought that it might start swelling shut. It didn't.
Dude, when I broke my orbital bone,
it looked a lot worse. Didn't it?
I was not 30 minutes later like this guy was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an immediate, like...
Oh, yeah, it swells up really right away.
I couldn't see anything, and then it was blurry, and then, I mean, it was just a complete mess.
Yeah, no, he had no vision problems.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, who knows? He could have just gotten a minor crack or something like that, but, I mean, he was swelling and, talked about how Ibushi may be concussed, said the Bucks were, I guess, as fine as could be.
So Ibushi's... So Omega thought that he got it on that you can't escape spot, right?
He thought that Ibushi got it on the moonsaults.
Ibushi got it on the
Golden Triangle
moonsault, where he just slipped off and then fell down, and then he tried to moonsault off the apron, and Matt was just not even there, and then he just threw Matt down.
Yeah.
It was a really clumsy spot.
And Kenny just basically said that we were doing a spot and I got banged in the head. Yeah. And he said, I don't even know what it was, and I looked up and hoped that there would be a replay and I could find out what happened, but there wasn't one, so he didn't know what happened. But, yeah, it was a very physical match, and, I mean, I would say it was no less than 4 3/4.
I would say the same thing. I would say no less than 4 3/4. And if I have to debate...
I feel that because we're debating...
That makes it 4 3/4.
Yeah, maybe it's not 5.
But we also... There's also a big thing. Where we were sitting... We did not get the effect of the drama like you got on television.
That's true.
And like I would have gotten, like if this was a match where, a lot of it was those close-up facial expressions, and we did not have, our press seats were actually fairly far away, so we did not get that. So it may have been a better, it probably was a better match than we saw. Not that what we saw wasn't absolutely a fantastic match. So, but yeah, that's probably what I would say too. But if
I mean, it was awesome. No one should be upset.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I should probably watch it again. But I mean, when we're talking like I didn't think it was as good as Gargano and Andrade, even though moves wise, it blew it away.
I did get a text saying it was better than that match from one person.
Well, I mean, again, but we got a television version of that one, and this one we were not as close.
Yeah.
And I mean the physicalness in the moves, it was better, but Andrade and Gargano was more about just great storytelling. But this had great storytelling too, so can't say that anything negative on that. The what's the other big one this year? Omega and Jericho.
Dome.
Yeah, this had better moves, but it's not about moves when it comes to match of the year. Moves is a secondary part of it. It's the storytelling.
It's
and
everything
emotion.
about it.
Yeah, this had the storytelling and emotion. I mean, and this was an incredible match. So yeah, I guess Jim Ross at the end of the match. I didn't see this. But I guess he said something like, "This story is not finished, and if this story is not finished, maybe we'll see this one later." We really should see a rematch.
Yeah.
Later in the year. I mean, that just whether it's whatever city, we should see this.
All In.
All In would be a good place.
Could be All In.
Yeah, there's this would be good to be like a double main event on All In. This and something else, whatever it would be. I don't know that that's the plan, but that would be a good spot for it.
All right, take us through this PWG show. Any notes from that?
Oh, got a ton of notes on that. So the PWG show, so they moved from Reseda to the Globe Theater in Los Angeles, which is a lot bigger. I would say 770 people. Sold out instantly. They oversold the first time anyway. And this was a great show. The big thing that people were always asking is if they leave Reseda, they would lose the atmosphere. Because when I would go to Reseda and there's 3 times as many people, 4 times as many people wanting tickets as getting tickets. It's kind of like, you need to move to a bigger building. I said it from day one. And the regulars are like, no. This is like, this building is special. But I felt that the Globe Theater, that they didn't lose anything when it came to that. And it was a nicer building. The sound system was better. It felt like, instead of like, it felt like a more professional show. I think, again, you have to watch the DVD to see what the look of the building was. But the Globe Theater is like this. It's actually like a UK building, and in fact, the whole night felt like a Progress show in a lot of ways, and which is a good thing. The PWG show was a better show than the New Japan show, not by much. They were both excellent shows, but I thought the PWG show was better. So, and it was different. A lot of, some of the fans were the same, but there was a lot of differences as well. The opener was Joey Janela against Ray Horace, and they usually, like Joey Janela just goes out there and just kills himself usually. I think that he's gotten himself over enough to where he didn't have to do it nearly as much. There were a few things that weren't quite perfect in the match. I think there was one, spot that was kind of botched. Dragon Azteca is really good to a certain level, but, doing American style, not perfect or anything like that. Joey Janela won with a package pile driver, I believe it was. But really, really good opener. Really, really good. Next, we had a 4-way. So it's Eli. These are all local guys. It's the first time they've let local guys on the show in a long, long time. So Eli Everfly, who's this tiny little guy, should be a mini. Then Jake Atlas, who is, I believe, he's openly gay. He doesn't do a gay act or anything like that, but is whatever. He's like that. I believe that's the case. Brody King, who is a guy who you'll probably be hearing a lot about. Brody King reminds me a lot of Luke Harper. He's not quite as big as Luke Harper, but he's probably 6'4", 6'5". Not a great body, but big guy. And he's really impressive. Like I said, and he's only been in the business for a short period of time as well. And so what did I say? So Eli Everfly, Jake, and then the fourth guy was what's the guy's name? Douglas James, of course, who's a good wrestler. But these guys came in here, and it was like they were going to kill themselves to get over. They're going to do everything they could. I mean, this was like the epitome of not a storytelling match at all, but just a collection of crazy spots. And there were a lot of misses in this match, and Jake ended up dislocating his hip. There were about 3 or 4 other times that I thought somebody died, or was it a moonsault or a tope to the floor where nobody caught the guy. He just got smashed on the floor. So many spots like that where, the idea, there's like, and there were like, when one of the guys got hurt, there was like hesitation. So it was very much not, like if you had never seen these guys before and I hadn't, you would probably be impressed by them as individuals. But I thought that the match, it was entertaining and all, but it had too many glitches, I think, to be a great match. You could definitely call it a good match, though. Then, what was next? It was, hold on. Oh, Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz against Bandito and Flamita. This match was just, it was just a perfect Lucha Libre style match. I mean, just everything crisp, incredible moves. The only negative is, is about 9 minutes. But all 4 guys just great. Just fantastic match. Fantastic match. This would have been, I don't want to say it was better than the Okada match because they're so different, and the Okada match tonight was really freaking great. So, but this match was, I would say it's along the lines of that one. So that's a comparison point, even though it's completely, quality wise, I would say it was on the lines. It's just when it's over, you just go, this is just an excellent match. Next was, which was this one? Will Ospreay and Adam Brooks. I think, this match was okay. So I think one of the things that we said going in when I was previewing this a couple days ago is that Adam Brooks is a real good friend of Will Ospreay's, and Will Ospreay was just going to have a great match with him, and he did. They went like 25 minutes. It could have gone a little shorter, like 3 minutes, if that's a complaint. But I don't mean it as one. But just incredible. This was like Will Ospreay at his best against a guy he's trying to get over. I think Adam Brooks got over, but just freaking. I mean, this match was better than anything on the on tonight's show, with the exception of the main event, and by a significant margin. Then we had Jonah Rock and Jeff Cobb, which Jonah Rock won with a splash off the top rope. Jonah Rock is about 320, I'd say 5'9", 5'10", 5'9", maybe more likely. Just a tank. I mean, bigger than Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb worked a phenomenal match. By the way, Jeff Cobb, the big story on the weekend, the Jeff Cobb story was on Saturday, which is a show I did not see. He wrestled a guy, Tyler Bateman. And Tyler Bateman got a concussion in the match and was knocked out. And Jeff Cobb hit him. He had hit him with a shot. And Jeff Cobb sold his elbow so great that everyone in the building, almost everyone in the building, thought that Jeff Cobb had like dislocated his elbow. And he's just, that's how good his selling was. But he actually was impromptu selling the elbow so great to give Bateman time to recover and, get back into it. But, Cobb is one half of the tag team champion, so I wonder if Rock will get a partner to go after Cobb and Matt Riddle in a tag team title match down the line. The next shows are April 20 and 21, back in Reseda. But this is an overachiever match, really excellent match. Then it was Matt Riddle and Zack Sabre Jr. This match was better than any match in the New Japan Cup, any match. It was just technical wrestling. You think of PWG's high spots, and this was all technical wrestling. And the story of the match is that that every time that Zack Sabre would do one of the moves that he used, and during the match he did the finish that he beat, all four finishes. They beat Naito, Ibushi, Sonata, and Tanahashi. He tried all of them against Matt Riddle, and Matt Riddle reversed out of every single one of them. And it was just two guys on the mat reversing out of each other's moves. Matt Riddle didn't do a lot of what he normally does because he just went out there and did a mat wrestling. This was a throwback to the 70s, but with more modern moves. But this match was, it's comparable to the Young Bucks match. It was completely different. This is just was as far as like a pure exchange of holds technical wrestling match. This is as good as I've seen in God knows how long. But it's funny because when I told Matt Riddle, because this is the best Matt Riddle match that I've seen him in live, and I go, that's the best match I've seen of you live, and he said, that's the match I always do with Zack Sabre. Now I did talk to some people who see some Zack Sabre and Matt Riddle matches and said, they were excellent, but this one was better than any of those. But yeah, I think. The best, I don't know if it's the best Zack Sabre match, because I wouldn't say that, but best Matt Riddle singles match that I've seen. I know Matt Riddle and Keith Lee tore the house down, in a recent match. But so this, then the main event, which was interesting, it was Keith Lee and Chuck Taylor for the championship. And this had a lot of comedy. It was, so a lot of stalling early. Chuck Taylor just trying to avoid Keith Lee's size. At one point, he grabs the mic and just goes, "I read on the internet you're going to the WWE, so why don't you just lay down and lose this match?" And which kind of led me to believe, as soon as he said that Keith Lee was probably going to win. And Keith Lee won with a jackhammer slam and did a great promo afterwards. He's in tears. His girlfriend's in tears. And he goes, "It was 1 year ago this week that I debuted in PWG, and I wanted to prove something." And, he said that he proved it by winning this. And that, and then Chuck Taylor goes and just goes, I hope you're the champion that I couldn't be. He has a way with lines, that's for sure.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, but Keith Lee, this match was good. It wasn't, it couldn't compare to like the Zack Sabre and Matt Riddle match. It was not, because so much of the match early was Keith Lee doing the small guy who's just getting overwhelmed by the big guy, can't do anything to get an advantage, just getting frustrated, walking off type of stuff, and wants to leave with a belt and stuff. So it was like, it didn't have the whatever you would call it. It didn't have that competitive feel. It didn't have really the championship match feel, honestly. But what made it was, after the match was the Keith Lee interview after, who was tremendous on the interview. And the thing with Keith Lee that hit me was that he is what I think that they had hoped that Mark Henry could be. But, not that Mark Henry was a failure, but Keith Lee, it's just he's very charismatic. He's a really big guy. He's very, very athletic for his size. Knows how to get over. Knows how to do mannerisms. I mean, he's really he's awfully good. Now, as far as like, is he going or not? You could look at it and go, well, if he won the title, that means that he's probably not going to WWE. But, even though Ricochet won the title, you can go, well, Ricochet had been in the company forever, and him winning the title, was kind of a crowning achievement for the last show, so to speak. So, but yeah, I don't know what that means, because it's like, if you ask him, he said, he's not going to tell you that he's doing it, because that's what they're told not to do. But yeah, time will tell. But yeah, overall, it was a great show.
All right, a couple of other quick notes. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, so in Trenton, and I presume on the other shows as well, but I know Trenton for sure, that they were like in the stands. I guess they bought tickets or something, but they did run-ins during the show, so they did not work. The bit when Roman Reigns was suspended, he worked all the house shows. When Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were fired, they traveled to every house show, but they didn't actually. In theory, they were just traveling there as fans. But when the opportune time came, then they did hit the ring and interfere. And
before we go, you want to do Hogan, Andre, Maeda tonight or tomorrow?
Might as well do it now. When we had Jason Hare on a couple days ago on Thursday, I had asked him about it. And a lot of people know the story. A lot of people don't. In 1986, there was a match with Akira Maeda. Was like one of the first supposed shoot guys to be like a major star in New Japan, and they had a tournament, and I believe it was a tournament. It may they may have just had a tour where I think it was a tournament where because that's a unique singles match. It was Andre against Maeda, and there was a lot of interest in that match because Maeda was doing the shooter gimmick and everything, and Andre's Andre, and I guess Andre went in the ring drunk, and New Japan kind of told him to teach Maeda a lesson, and which didn't happen. And Maeda just, the whole thing of Andre the Giant in a fight would just destroy everybody. It's like, if you saw this, and granted, Andre was older then. He was 86, he was 40. But Andre at 40, it deteriorated a lot because he only lived to be 46, and what he had was going to deteriorate him and everything. But the match was, Maeda was kicking Andre's knee really hard, nearly destroyed him, hurt him bad. But when they were out there and it was, Maeda probably would have knocked him out if Inoki would have let him. So it's a real famous. It was a really famous match at the time, just for what it was.
All right, everybody, on that note, we're going to wrap it up here for today. Tomorrow, we're going to be back after Raw. We will run down that show. We'll talk about all of the other news as well. And, of course, you can send your mailbag questions to mailbag@wrestlingobserver.com. We'll get to those tomorrow. And that is it. We will talk to you again after a while.